Hey, Uncle Roddus back again. Another vinyl, the vinyl video. Okay. Been a week of new releases turning up. Some New Zealand new releases that I had pre-ordered recently. A New Zealand Grail has turned up, and a couple other 3 records. So on Trade Me this week, this finally showed up, and I've been after it for a while. This is a New Zealand Grail for me. Bill Dyrene's Builders, his I believe his second or third album. There's Split Seconds LP, which I showed recently. I picked up a couple of 3 months ago. Is kind of listed as a second record, but it's not to the Builders. It's more. It's under a slightly different name, but the Builders. So this would be the Builders' second album. I had a copy of this back in the early 80s, or back in the 80s when it came out. 83, 84, somewhere around there. Interesting artwork on the back. There's bits of glitter stuck to this on the back of it. This is a white cover. Unfortunately, there's a big sticker thing which probably helped bring the price down a bit for me. The vinyl plays really, really well. Plays better than I expected, so it was only rated as very good. This sells generally for 3 figures now. It's probably his hardest record to get. Anyway, I had a copy of this here, as I said, very, very many years ago. Has a variation of cover with a yellow cover, which I do prefer the yellow cover, but this is the white version. Cover's all intact, so yeah, and I didn't pay 3 figures for it, so I'm really, really pleased, really pleased to get this. I've pretty much got most of the Builders and Bill Dyrene's stuff that's released on the album 12-inch format. There are some 7 inches. I do have some 7 inches of stuff he's done. Not really that interested in 7 inches, as people know. So that's what's playing in the background, and really rapt to have it finally copied again after all these years. It was the only Builders record I believe that I had back in my early days. I picked up on that through student radio. They gave it quite a bit of play. It's probably one of his more polished and accessible records, to be honest, which is interesting. That I find that's probably my favourite of his. And saying that, I mean, he's just got a body of work that's just outstanding and really good, and very idiosyncratic. And a unique little voice. I mean, I do hear a lot of this early Fall in his music. They were a huge influence in New Zealand, the Fall, and that. But yeah, Bill's great musician, great poet, and really pleased to have that. Some new issues that have come out. This one here, the Hallelujah Picassos, Voices of Exuberant Hellhounds, I think it's called. Voices of Exuberant Hellhounds, yeah. So Picassos were around many years ago in the very late 80s, early 90s, I believe. And they have 2 albums out that they put out back in those days, and I had both of them on CD eventually. And to be honest, I don't know, I sold them many years ago for some reason. I don't know, I think I just lost interest in them. So yeah, I was a little bit about whether I should pick this up, but I did. There was a track, Voices of One, that Chris had played on his podcast a couple of months ago, which came out as a single, as a precursor to this. This is really good. It is people who know the band will know, will be familiar with what's happening on this record. It is classic Picassos. After 25 plus years, they're still putting out the same sort of music, and it still sounds really good. It's a real mix of dubby stuff and weird stuff and other stuff and all sorts, as per usual. So like I say, I hope this grows on me. I like it, and I hope it grows on me, because I did actually end up selling the originals that I had back in the day. So that's a new issue, and this is a reissue by another band, of New Zealand band, This Kind of Punishment, in the same room. This was their 3rd LP. The other 2 got reissued on Superior Viaduct last year, and this is also on Superior Viaduct, as you'd expect. When did this originally came out? 1987. So this was their last album. The Jeffries brothers, Graham and Peter. Michael Morley appears on here, I see. Alistair Galbraith and Chris Matthews. And Shane Carter. So this has got a lot of massively big New Zealand legends on it, so that's pretty cool. And it is a great record. And Superior Viaduct are doing sublime pressings, beautiful remasterings. Yeah, really, really good. So that is the 3 records of them that I now have. The originals are very, very difficult to find. Another Bruce Russell record. I have showed several of him in the last video that I put up, and this is called Serial Realists. With Luke Wood. This originally came out as a limited edition of 20 lathe cuts on Island Press Records. Luke Wood apparently runs Island Press Records. It actually is a subsidiary of Island Press, which is a pressing outfit in Christchurch. Apparently, I don't really know much about it. So Luke is not particularly a musician, I believe, and actually what it sounds like is that they've recorded a whole lot of his pressing machine, so it's got a very industrial background, throbbing, repetitive sound of a machine going in behind, and then Bruce is improvising over top of it. It's actually pretty good. I'm pleased that they released that on top of the lathe cut, because I don't go for lathe cuts at all. I find that they don't play on my VPI very well. They tend to jump and skip, and they don't last very long. Apparently they wear pretty quick, and they're not particularly good quality, so vinyl is much better. Mr. Neil Young's new performance series, I think they call this, as opposed to the archive series, PS04. So I'm actually a couple behind on this, but I did pick up the Songs for Judy one recently, as people might remember on a recent video. So this is a double LP. This is nice. This is really good. I really, really do enjoy these. They're really well done. I know some people had some issues. This is the European version. I know someone had an American release version that was warped, and also another person on Facebook in the vinyl community had mentioned that theirs was really noisy. Mine is deadly quiet, deadly flat, and sounds really good. Yeah, really, really pleased to have that. Always keen on getting some Neil Young stuff. So yesterday, well, it is Super Rugby semi-finals time, or quarterfinals, playoffs time, I suppose you call it. And the mighty Crusaders played last night, and we got given tickets by my wholesalers to go and see them. So we went out, had a feed at the hospitality lounge, Crusaders Hospitality Lounge, and went and watched a really good game, and we won as we were expected to, but it was a pretty good game against the Highlanders. I'm actually wearing the wrong colour jersey here. I don't have my Canterbury one, my Crusaders one. We had to pop into town a little bit earlier because they didn't send me a car parking pass, so I couldn't park in the car park. So we didn't really want to walk half an hour to get to the bloody venue, because parking is a premium in these stadiums. So I popped in early to the wholesalers to grab the car parking pass, and we popped into Eastgate Mall, and I went to the Penny Lane while Lynn was in the library, returning some books and picking up some other stuff. And Penny Lane and Eastgate Mall is a pretty small shop, and they only have a small selection of vinyl. They've mostly got DVDs and CDs. The vinyl collection there is pretty much run-of-the-mill mid-70s to mid-80s stuff, with the occasional, I find the occasional thing there. I think a lot of it's stuff they don't sell in the other shop. That's surprising, but I do pick up the odd thing now and again. They do spice it up with a little bit of stuff. So I don't know. The vinyls probably don't sell much there. They're just there for the looks. But saying that, there was some Black Sabbath on the wall, and there was some other stuff, and I actually had to put some back, because there was, generally I go through their bins, I don't find anything that interests me. Like I say, it's all mid-70s kind of middle of the road stuff, or stuff I've already got or whatever. Yesterday I did quite well, so I picked up another ECM, one I was totally unfamiliar with. Rainer Brunginghels or something, so very German sounding, obviously, from 1981, ECM 1187. And this is a German pressing of this record, as they generally are in New Zealand for ECMs. I got it for a really cheap price, so I was kind of thinking maybe it's not that good. Generally, the ones that aren't really musically rated that highly aren't you pay $10 for them, or if they're really good ones, they tend to pay between $20 and $40 depending on how rare they are. This one here I saw on Discogs when I put it on there this morning into my collection, and after I cleaned it, actually has quite good ratings. So I did have a quick listen to part of it before while I was having my breakfast, but I haven't really had a chance to give it a go. It's a little bit noisy at the start, that's probably why it's a bit cheaper, but yeah, hopefully it's going to be pretty good. Really pleased to see this in there actually, and like I say, they don't normally have the more esoteric or rarer stuff. I mean, this isn't particularly rare, I guess. I'm believing this is an original. It's a PCS 7090 from 1969, printed in England on Parlophone EMI. So it all looks pretty authentic. It's in bloody good condition. The cover is all intact. There's a couple of very, very minor things around the edge of it, but it's actually really cool. So yeah, Love Sculpture's second LP, Dave Edmonds. I have the first one on CD. I actually haven't heard this, although I believe I will be familiar with Sabre Dance. I think that was the one that was their kind of hit off this. Black covers are really reflective, isn't it, of the downlights. Yeah, so it wasn't overly expensive, and it's in really good nick, and yeah, I believe it's an original. I mean, I see on Discogs the originals of these are pretty common and easy to get and cheap, so yeah, I mean in New Zealand you do pay a little bit more for these sort of things, but buy them on Discogs, your postage just kind of screws it up. Anyway, the last one I picked up there yesterday, and I'd seen this. I think this had been moved from the main shop in Penny Lane in Sydenham, because this has been in the shelves for a while and it had a really good price, and this is a brand new 2018 reissue on Zappa Records of Mothers of Invention's Burnt Weenie Sandwich, and I'd seen it a few times, but I just hadn't got around to picking it up, and I'd been keen to, but there'd been too many other things really that had been taking my fancy in the shop, and I keep putting it back on the shelf. I don't know why they haven't managed to sell this. It's a great album. I mean, anything by the Mothers. This is 1970, so kind of after Frank had split the Mothers up, this was released. But there were a couple of 3 records like that that were released after the fact that the band had already disbanded. But yeah, any early Mothers stuff is worth having, and I'll be interesting to hear what this sounds like. I hear that these new vinyl pressings are really, really good. I have not heard any bad reports of them. I have most of my Zappa collection, or pretty much all of my Zappa collection, is CD issues from the 93, around about the time he died, Ryko disc CDs, and they don't have a particularly good reputation. Frank remastered them all for CD before he passed away, and I think they got started reissuing them in the late 80s from memory. But I did have all of the Zappa stuff on vinyl, original copies many years ago. So yeah, I might start picking up a bit more of it when I have the funds, but there's too much New Zealand stuff that keeps me out. So yeah, some non-New Zealand music there, people. At least 4 records are non-New Zealand. So that's me for today, and another wee pile to keep me going. So yeah, things they are slowing down a wee bit, but I do have. I've got 2 more pre-issues, 3 more pre-orders on the cards. One should be here hopefully this week. One, unfortunately, the band are away in Europe touring, so their record, it came out yesterday, but it's not going to be posted out to us until next month, late next month when they get back from Europe. And I've got a bunch on Discogs. I'm just waiting for the seller to. He apparently is waiting on stock, so to finalise that. So that could be a few weeks away. Anyway, they better stop prattling on and let you get back to your day. Thank you for watching, and see you again.